Hey, welcome back. We are here with another edition of the G.A.C. Central Coaches Preview. Today we're talking about new head coach at Zumwalt South, Fort Zumwalt South to be exact. But Coach Mitchell, who's been around and no stranger to Zumwalt South, going back a long time.
A really long time, yes.
Which we were just talking. I remember him pitching against us when I was at Howell. It was a long time ago. We'll just establish that apparently I've gotten older. But good news, he's back in a different capacity. So head coach now, which got to be exciting. Did you ever think about being a head coach when you were playing?
When I was playing, my goal, my junior year when I had my surgery, my goal was to come back and coach and originally get a head coaching job and have a program that I can call like mine, that I have a head coaching spot. I didn't know it was going to be South, but whenever I came back teaching and then Coach Shirley's like, hey, we want to bring you back on. We have a spot opened up. I'm like, that's perfect. Get me back on, and here we go.
And it's always exciting. Like, obviously, I graduated from Howell, came back and coached at Howell. Like, there's something special. You understand the culture. You understand the client. Like, you understand the history. Like, when people talk about Howell baseball, and they always associate, like, Howell baseball with Coach Perkins, which obviously, huge part of it. But I'm like, well, actually, the Final Four started with Coach Casper. There was a coach there before Perkins. It's hard to believe, but like there was, so understand the history to explain the players and the traditions and all those things. I actually, the first year Zumwalt South opened, I played on that field.
Okay. That's probably as great as it ever was. Actually, the school was open when I was born. Well, the same year.
What year?
87.
80, yeah. Okay, so there's your history lesson.
That'd be a good one there. School's 37 years old.
So 37, and it's time for you to be there for a while and move it forward. And it's exciting. Obviously, you guys have had a ton of success recently.
Correct.
Moving forward, you have a different group coming in. You guys were very senior heavy and had a tremendous group the last several years that I'm glad we didn't have to play against very often, because you guys were in the Central, we were in the South. So, but you guys, Class 5, Class 6 didn't matter. You guys would have, I think, been the Final Four for Class 6.
Yeah. Last year with having all the guys come back and most of them being 3-year starters, it was a good setup for us, and knowing whatever class it is, hey, we have a chance. We can do some damage and we can make a run. And
you got the pitching, you were loaded and you enjoyed it, and you guys got the most out of it. Overall 30-6, which is phenomenal, and 10-0 in conference, which all that means is there's a big target on you of people that you have beaten a lot recently.
Correct, yes.
And they're all going to want to be like, hey, you remember last year when you were beating us by 20?
Here we go. It's our turn now.
So
that's one thing where, especially this year, I'm telling my guys, like, hey, we've been the one who's been so strong for a while. Now we have to make sure that we live up to that. Because everybody's wanting to come after us, and they know a lot of people graduated. And they think it's their chance that, hey, we can do some damage now. We can pay them back for the past and what they've done. And we got to make sure that we're stepping up to that chance there and knowing what to expect and playing to the best of our ability and do what we can.
And you guys always compete. The type of kid Zumwalt South is a hard-nosed, competitive, roll in the dirt type of.
Correct.
That's always been 37 years of that.
Yes.
So it's not a new situation. And I'm sure that this group is going to be the same type of player, which you might not be 10-0, but you're going to compete every game. So typically, we start with returning starters, which
we have a whole bunch of them.
Is going to be a shorter list for other teams.
Yes,
which is good. Anyone at Zumwalt South, good for you. You have plenty of opportunities, so you got some time. Get working, and you could get some playing time this year and keep adding to that tradition.
Correct.
But on the returners, familiar name for me, Reidelberger.
Yes.
Which I've known that name for a long time. So you want to talk about him a little bit and kind of where you see him, and then we'll move on to that. Is the end of the list of the returning starters, correct?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay,
yes, he's
so
our only returning starter that we've had in the field. Yes, in right field for this last year.
So, again, a lot of opportunities.
Correct, yes. And for him, he started right field for us last year. Looking at it right now, could be right field, could be center field. We're still debating to see what we have and working with him to see which spot will suit him best this year, as well as which spots are picked up by any other players we have, which, as you know, we have pretty much 9 open spots for those guys to go at. We can see who can win the spot and who can take over there and Depends on where we move him.
Yeah.
And also he's going to be a guy that is going to have some innings for us. He's going to have to step up and eat some innings for us and do well on the mound to pick up what we lost from last year. And as you know, we lost several pitchers from last year that had a good impact. So if we can get him to do that, and he threw some last year, had some innings, so we can build up his stamina and get him to where he's more comfortable in the role and can locate all his pitches for strikes, that's going to be huge for him, and that's going to be huge for us in general as a team, so we have somebody that we can throw out there, and hey, they're going to give us a chance each and every game that he pitches in.
And anytime you get a younger kid that has experience, they mature so much in the year. And even these other guys that were around last year's team, they saw how things were done. They saw success. They saw the intensity, how things should work.
Yes.
So even though they didn't get a lot of playing time, just to be around it, you understand this is how we need to practice, how we need to handle things. So
and they're understanding what to expect. The only thing they got to know is, hey, the run we've had the past few years, can't take that for granted, because that's not always going to happen. You had that, and some teams get to where they've never been to a Final Four in 40 years. Well, you've had lucky enough 3 of the past 4 years. They just have to know, hey, we can't be complacent with this. This isn't guaranteed. We have to work hard and earn the spot to get there and do our jobs to be able to make it that far.
And what I found with teams that go to the Final Four, it lets the program know what it takes to get to the Final Four.
Correct, yes.
So there's such a hurdle. Going the first time, I feel like so hard. Like the belief of, hey, we can be one of the best in the state. We can play for a state championship. But once a team does it, and you're looking at those guys going, there's not that much difference between me and you.
Correct.
So that belief, and that's within the program, that's the standard for you guys at this point. And even though you don't have a lot of guys back,
that's what we expect.
Yeah.
We expect to win. We expect to get there. In the first year we went in 21, our number one pitcher, Andrew Caselli, that was his first year pitching for us. He hadn't done anything, and then he come out that year, and he ends up getting an all-state pitcher.
Yeah.
His first year being a starter for us.
And that's, you see, high school is so fun with the year-to-year, the jumps kids make. They come off injuries. They get special training. Like, there's just different things that some of these guys that jump up, and all of a sudden they're all-state.
Correct.
You're competing. So
Correct. Yeah.
That's the end of the returners on the defensive side.
Yes, it is.
Offensive side. On the mound, also, there's not a lot. We'll get to the options to fill those other positions in a second. But the pitching, you got 3 guys that I see that threw some innings for you last year.
Yes.
9 innings, and almost 2.
Yep.
So
a whole lot of them. And that's really big spot. Like, looking at it right now, we have a bunch of guys that say they can pitch. So we have to work them all to see, okay, who can do what. But with Chase Howell, do you have Tyler Moore and Caden Rodenberg? Those are the only guys that had innings for us. And they're the only guys that know what to expect with the varsity hitters. Know what we're looking for with the pitches, know all that kind of stuff. So and Tyler started off well, and he ended up having location problems towards the end. We're going to have to get him back to where he was when he first started all. Howell's going to have to get back to where he was in the first few innings he had. And if they can pick it up, if they can know what to expect and get their jobs done, that's going to be a solid foundation for us to help get us into the year and get us through conference. And we even have another pitcher who was on JV last year because of all the arms we had. It's Nathan Miroff. He's going to be another pitcher for us who's going to be solid for us. He's going to throw the ball well. You can see what we expect out of him. Haven't seen much because JV guy, and as you know, we play on the same days.
Yeah, that's rough.
Talking to Coach Anderson, who was on JV last year, he's talked a lot about him, and we're looking forward to a lot coming from him as well this year.
So how was that JV group last year? Obviously, it's tough as when you're on varsity, you don't see the JV, but overall, I'm assuming they had a competitive season.
Yes, and they had some guys there. They had Gage Casanova, shortstop. Looking at him last year, there were times when we brought him up with us so we could do a shortstop. Tall frame, good solid kid, good arm. Ethan Crane, a second baseman. He's another one who could compete for a spot. Sam Nolte, an outfielder. Tall kid. He can hit the ball well. Brendan LeBeau he had some time on JV, but he spent most time with us on varsity because the first part of the year Mendel was hurt. So we got to see some from him. Not a whole lot, but some of it all.
I mean, just to get a feel.
Correct.
I mean, the speed of the game is different. The intensity is different. There's a lot more fans. There's a lot of things. So just to be up, and it's not, and that's the tough thing when you have someone like Mendel. It's like you don't have a need unless there's injury or something else.
Exactly.
So putting them on JV to get experience is.
We have to do that to see what they got. And think about the past 8 years, we had Logan Ridelberger, and we had Connor Mendel. So that's 8 years of just 2 catchers. Now it's like, okay, they're gone, so we have guys that haven't got as much chance, and they're older. but now it's our time to step up and fill in those shoes.
And not just 2 catchers.
Not just 2 catchers, 2 all-state catchers.
Yeah. Like,
2 all-state catchers.
Like, those are 2 elite catchers that you've had.
Yes.
Which is great, but when they move on, obviously the catching position is really kind of that managing the staff and all the things that those catchers do. Yeah. So I'm guessing you're looking to him. Was it LeBeau? You said, right?
LeBeau. We have a few other guys. We have Ricky Jewell. There's Dersh. There's a few other guys we have in there that we're looking at that know what to expect and just see who out of those guys who handles the staff best, who receives the ball the best, who works the hardest behind the plate, who hits the ball the best. And out of all those 3, we think we're going to find somebody there that can do the job, and knows what they're supposed to be doing and how to execute and how to control the staff, like you said.
Yeah, you get that, and obviously you get the catcher. You got some arms coming back. Around the infield, you mentioned second base, shortstop. Ideas about the corners, first and third. Obviously, there's a lot of options there.
Yes. Last year, Chase Howell works him at first base. He's another guy who's looking at first base. We have Alex Adekunle can be a first baseman. At third base, Mirov can play there. Tyler Moore could possibly move there. Caden Bourne could play there. It's really one of those things where we have certain guys, but there's so many spots that they're all going to have to actually move around and work at all the spots.
Figure out how it all fits together.
Yeah, you could be a second baseman by trade, but if somebody else is there, hey, where are you going to move to get the spot? Can you go to third? Let's see what you got. And if they can do that, like that's going to get somebody playing time. Be willing to move spots. That will help you get in the field. That will help you play.
If you can hit and you can be versatile,
yes,
you're going to be on the field.
You're going to be on the field.
At any high school.
Correct.
You have to figure it out and figure out, hey, you might be a shortstop for your club, but you might be a left fielder for us.
Exactly right. And you have to be willing to actually move positions. If we say, what position are you? Don't just say shortstop. No. Say, I can play anywhere you need me to.
So where do you need? I'm there for you.
Yes, because if shortstop, we have a guy there who's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just going to hang out over here, or what are you going to do? You can be willing to go anywhere. Chances are you're going to find a spot and you're going to play. You'll be in the lineup.
Well, that's like we were talking about Mendel. If you're a catcher, the last 4 years is like the only option you have to get on the field is to be versatile and be like, hey, I'll go play third, left, right, whatever. And so you younger ones listening, don't be locked into I only play one position. Get experience, especially middle school. Go play different positions and just, even if you don't play it all the time, to go play a little outfield and just get the feel of it. Go play the angles from second, third are different, but just to have a taste of it. So you're like, if you're called to do it at the high school level, like in this situation, you have 8 open spots coming back. There's a chance to get on the field, especially if you're versatile.
Yes, exactly. If you're willing to put the work in, your chances are you're going to play.
Yeah.
And even with Mendel, he caught for us, but there were times he even played the outfield. Because he could play the outfield, and he knew, and he's like, yeah, I'll go out there. So he was willing to play the outfield, and he was an all-state catcher.
Yeah. And
Logan Reideberger was willing to play first base.
He played first base.
First base, yeah.
So you need it. So obviously a lot of these guys you've talked about, they might fit in different places, infield a little bit. In the outfield, you mentioned Nolte and Reidelberger.
Yes. We have Evan Rouse out there. He has a chance to play some out there. And it's like Reidelberger, Rao, Max Branham's another guy who has potential to be out there. Several guys, even some of the infielders we have, they may even get a chance to play in the outfielder. Just
nothing wrong with you got 2 good shortstops. Well, one shortstop might make a real good center field.
Correct. And that's the thing. Like I've noticed all my coaching, you have catchers can really usually play anywhere. Shortstops can usually play anywhere. So that's one thing they're willing to do whatever, and they can do that, and they can play. And hey, we need you here. Go out here. Okay, let's go.
You rarely see left or right fielder able to play. It's like going out.
Yes.
Works.
Yes, and you rarely see
outfielders coming back in.
And you rarely see a left-handed first baseman playing third base. That just doesn't happen either.
If you do, it's not typically a good sign.
That is true. That is true. At that point, you're usually just grasping at straws to do something there. Yeah.
Now there might be, if you're a left-handed third baseman,
more power to you.
You might want to change position because in the future you probably ain't gonna be there.
Work on that mound. Throw that ball. Lefty on the mound. That's what I love.
It really is.
I love those lefties on the mound.
Speaking of lefties, do you have any lefties?
Reidelberger.
He is lefty-handed.
He is a lefty. Branham's a lefty. I think I want to say that's about it. Thinking about it.
Well, 2 is not bad.
No.
It's more than 0.
It's more than 0. Yeah. So that's helpful. And we have a few freshmen that are lefties. So that'd be good in the future. They can do some stuff.
You're talking about freshmen while you bring up the freshmen. I know you said you have some pretty good freshmen.
Yes.
When you do, and I've asked others, especially as a new head coach, you've seen tryouts at different places. You've seen how they're done. are you planning on looking at like 9 through 12, or are you going to separate? Do you have an idea how you're going to run that?
What we've done in the past, what we'll probably do this year is we'll probably have the freshmen go like on the backfield on their own there.
Yeah.
We'll probably have 10 through 12 on the main field, just seeing what they can do, seeing all those guys, having them practice together. That way we can also teach the same kind of stuff. And if something happens where we need to pull a sophomore up, they already know exactly what we're doing, so we can just pull them right in and they're ready to go. Freshmen, as you know, they grow, they get older. It's that freshman body is a little bit smaller than the upperclassmen. So them on the back learning, getting everything together and playing as a team, that's one of the big things that I'm hoping for is if they can win as a team and establish and grow from the same group together, that I think is really beneficial.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm planning to do with those guys.
There's nothing wrong with, I talked to Jackson Vaughn recently on a podcast, and he was talking about his freshman year. He went up to JV for like a day or two, and they're like, yeah, go back to freshman. And he was like, I had so much fun. We won playing with the guys that I've always played with. Well, that's now the senior class that's loaded at Howell because they won as freshmen. They won at JV. They won, like, there's something about kind of having that group stay together and enjoy it.
Yep.
It's not, I think sometimes people, kids, parents especially, some parents take it real personal, like my kid should be up or my kid. There is an actual plan.
Yes.
And the thought process. It's not like, oh, well, all freshmen. And if you have those, like, Sissom that obviously came up and some of those other kids we've had come through the G.A.C. where it's like, okay, they should be up. But
exactly.
Those are D1 Power 4 type players.
That's very rare. Like we had Lindell, Cox, those guys are D1.
And they're D1 kids.
Ryderberger was one. And we had another one, I'm going to draw a blank now, but he was a lefty for us when I was on JV. He ended up getting pulled up as a freshman.
Yeah.
It's like, that doesn't happen. And
no.
If you're a freshman, there's a big jump between freshman pitching, JV pitching, and varsity pitching.
Yeah.
So if you're coming up as a freshman, we have to trust that, hey, you can handle that pitching. Because if you can't, you're going to struggle.
And then you get into confidence. And if you're set a kid back developmentally because it's like they're overmatched, and that's my son, it turned out, I mean, he got drafted. As a freshman, he was there to bunt.
Yes.
And he bunted, I mean, we think we played, like he was bunting every single game.
And he bunted well.
He
did it well, and like that was what he did at first.
That's all he could do. He was 120 pounds, so he went out and played defense, and he bunted.
And he knew his role, and that's another thing where he had to know the role. And then he gets bigger in the offseason, comes back, and he's hitting gaps.
Things turned out okay, but and if you have one of those freshmen that jump up, I'm sure they'll get an opportunity, but those are rare.
Yes, exactly.
The transfer portal's open. People move in and out often. So
I don't have the NLI or the whatever it is. I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah,
I wish that'd be nice if I did, but I couldn't use it anyways if I had it.
Not that yet, but the idea. Hey,
exactly.
And I have found over the years people that have kids that are good baseball players. They look around and see, hey, Zumwalt South's been in the Final Four 3 or 4 years.
Yes.
Why wouldn't we go there?
Correct.
So you never know who's going to move in, and
if you get that program built from the ground up and you're consistently winning, people see that, and and they want to go play where you win. You don't see teams who are like, oh, I'm going to go to this team. They didn't win a game last year. No. That doesn't usually happen a lot.
If your kid has aspirations of playing in college, it's like I want to go to a coaching staff that knows what they're doing.
Correct.
A program, so it makes sense. Speaking of coaching staff, you talk about the freshman group trying to keep them together and trying to build that foundation with them. So who's going to be coaching that group?
That group, we brought back Andrew Castelli. So he played for us in 2021, the first year to state. He was our pitcher.
I was going to say, you just talked about
it. We just brought him. He brought him back on, and so he'll be coaching freshmen for us.
It's nice.
Yes, again, that helps out.
A kid that went to the Final Four, coming back to his alma mater, the pride he takes in doing that is a big deal. So that's big for you.
Yeah, and he knows what to expect. He knows how I am as a coach. So that's good. I can trust him. He knows what he's supposed to be doing, and we can just carry it from the freshman through varsity.
Yeah, I really think that C team freshman, whatever people call it now, I don't even know. But
it changes. Yeah, it's all over the place.
Always, it doesn't matter to me.
No.
But that guy, to me, sets the tone of expectations, terminology, the way things are done, the way you like all those things start there.
Yes.
And without someone down there that you can trust, because like you were talking, the separation in baseball, you're on the backfield, you're on the front, like you can't be there. So to have someone you trust is a big deal.
Yeah. In football, you can have everybody practice together.
Yeah.
Baseball, you can't because there's a lot of standing around at that point, and you don't want to have that.
It's a lot of BP.
It's a lot of BP. That's a lot of BP, and then you have a lot of guys just doing who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
You can't do that kind of stuff.
No.
And to be able to, like I said, build the trust. Like I know what he's doing, and build it, and then create the excitement in the program.
Yeah.
So now they have excitement from freshman year up, and it just continues to grow. And now senior year, junior, senior year, they come up to me, and I know. Hey, they know what they're supposed to be doing. They know what to expect. They know how we're going to play the game.
And he was on Final Four team. Mm-hmm. He knows what it takes to get there. So,
Correct.
So that's a freshman. Obviously you moved up from assistant to varsity.
Yes.
Or not varsity, assistant to head coach. Mm-hmm. So who's taken over as the assistant and then the JV coach?
Our JV coach, our freshman coach from last year, Jerry Barnes, he's moving up to JV. And then varsity assistant is going to be Coach Anderson, who was JV last year, and he's moving up with me. He was a head coach at Rainier for a while. For him, I call him my voice of reason. It was funny. We were playing McClure a couple years ago, and I was getting antsy during the game, and he's like, Mitchell, relax. So I trust him. I know that he'll be my voice of reason. I can bounce ideas off him, and he'll be like, yes, good idea, or no, that's not a good idea. Think again.
But from being an assistant, the assistant coach's role is different than the head coach.
Yes, it is.
And you need someone to bounce ideas off of. You need someone that's calm and kind of outside of the not coaching third, not getting caught up in the game, but to see it from a different angle and someone you trust. I mean,
exactly
it's a tough. I mean, from being an assistant, there's a lot of times you have to kind of reorient the head coach.
Yes.
Like, hey, we're kind of getting off track here.
Come back here. Come back to this world. Like, focus on this one.
Maybe take a deep breath and move forward here. So,
yes.
I mean, and I'm sure that him being the JV coach, knowing these players coming up, is a huge asset during tryouts. I mean, they know him, he knows them. That relationship is a huge piece to any coaching.
Correct.
And when you have a changing staff, it's not really new, but different roles, familiar faces, expectations, all big deals.
Yeah, and he can help with when we're getting stuff set up, who goes where. He can help with that. With, hey, this guy played here last year. He can do this. He can do this. Or we don't put him there. He struggles there. So that's a good thing where we can bounce it off and be like, hey, well, let's try this guy here. He's like, yeah. Or no, this guy here. This guy's the best next outfielder. And that can be helpful because I'll get in games and I have tendency, I can get amped up a little bit.
Yeah.
So
you're competing.
Exactly. And I'm like, I want to win this game. So having him, he's just, okay, calm. And that helps me just regroup myself, recheck, and get back into it all.
There's definitely reminders of like, hey, this game, it's a Saturday game.
Yes.
And if we lose this, not a big deal. It's a learning experience. We move on. Now, Coach Perkins also gets a little amped up, wanting to win every game. And
he's been that way for how long he's been coaching.
Well, he coached me.
So he's been that way since then.
So he was the assistant, but he was more fiery, I think, then than he is now. He's actually calmed down. So
yeah, I would agree with that one. Seeing that, watching him, I would agree.
He's not as we were talking about those 05, 06 Zumwalt South Howell rivalry, which in 25 years coaching, I think is the most intense rivalry we had for that time period.
Yes.
Whew. He was fiery, and Primo was
just like it.
Oh.
And Primo be yelling. You heard him 2 miles down the road. It was fun. It was so much fun.
Win or lose, those are the games you remember just because it was so intense, so fun, so much online. Then afterwards, I mean, you look back and go, I don't even know. I told you, I'm like, I don't even know who won those games.
Exactly.
But I know that whoever won felt really good at that moment.
Yes.
And whoever lost was like, that's it.
And like you said earlier, you go to CNH, 6 o'clock on a Friday night. At that point, the atmosphere, that's totally different than when you have at 4:15.
Absolutely.
That alone sets a stage for, hey, this is going to be fun. And you told me before we started that you remember those games. You remember when I pitched.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, I barely remember some of those games I pitched. I just remember it was exciting. It was fun, and we were getting after it.
You know, as a coach, when you see certain names out there and it's like they were big. I mean, over the years with like Troy, with Schaefer brothers.
Yes.
Like there's certain names throughout, Detweilers and like you remember names because like, man, this is going to be a game. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously Sargent.
Yes, Sargent.
Anyone from that time period that was a memorable experience.
Yes, it was.
To watch him.
Oh, yes, it was.
I don't even know the best word, more perform.
Oh, exactly.
Because it was more than pitching.
And he was fiery. He was fiery.
It's good times.
but to me, like thinking about it as an athlete, as a coach, that's the kind of guy I want on my team.
Absolutely.
If you give me a guy like that, I'm like, okay, here you go. Here's the ball. Go roll.
And you guys have had plenty of them over the years. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this group comes together as. I'm looking forward to I didn't say earlier. Congratulations!
Well, thank you very much.
It's fun seeing guys stay in it, come back, and able, especially at the school they came from,
correct,
take over and be able to put their stamp on it.
Yes,
it's awesome. So
and I'm excited for that. I'm excited to get after it and get into it and just get started.
Oh, it's getting closer.
It is. Only 4 months.
I don't know.
It feels like it's too far, but I know it's going to be here before I know it.
Yeah. When this airs, it could be 2 months. I don't know.
It could be the first game.
Whenever you're watching this, it's coming up soon. I can tell you that much. So, yeah, it's a new group, a lot of opportunities for players, different roles within staff, all that good stuff. So it'll be fun. I'm looking forward. I'll be out, watch a little bit. Perfect. It'll be really weird not
coming out whenever.
Sitting in my little chair over there watching and be like, hey, Perk,
it's okay. Calm down over here.
It's okay.
Now I can just watch from the stands and be like, oh, here he goes again.
Yeah, still know the signs.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes a bunt. Oh, wait, we don't even have the bunt sign. Everyone just does it on their own.
Here we go.
It happens. But
yeah, and that's like Perkins boys. I remember those like.
You can't. Yeah.
Those.
There's certain kids that have come through the G.A.C. and it just speaks to the depth.
Oh, yes.
And as we've added teams, and I mean, obviously splitting up into the divisions now, but the depth has always been special.
Yes, it is. I think it by far like one of the top conferences in Missouri, if not the top.
It's top 1 or 2.
Just looking at it, it's
to me, it's the top just because some of the other conferences only have 5 or 6A teams. We're loaded from 6A, 5A, all the way down to the north, where it's like all the way through. The depth to me sets our conference apart.
Correct.
The history of it, like we can sit here and talk about rivalries from 06, 05, like they were yesterday.
Yes.
And the player, like we could list player after player after player from, and it's just not one school.
No, it's not.
All the schools.
Because we ain't even had a rivalry with West then.
Yeah.
When they first opened up. So it was Howell, West, and it just, North was one. It almost gets to the point where everybody playing conference turned into that kind of rivalry.
Yeah.
Because you're always going at it, you're always competing, you guys are always good. You just know, hey, every game's going to be a slugfest.
Absolutely. And now in the Central, I know you and East have battled the last several years, and now you got some new competition with Timberland coming down.
Yes, we do. So we have Timberland. We also have North Point's coming in. So it'll be a new one for us. We've played them, but now they'll be in our conference.
Yeah.
So it's exciting to get excited for opportunity. Exciting. Like I love playing new teams, and we've played them in the past. But as you're now playing them back-to-back days, you see more things from them.
And the conference setup, the Tuesday, Wednesday, I love. When we went to that, because the intensity on the Tuesday, whoever loses comes back Wednesday with that chip on their shoulder.
Yes.
And you're seeing the best pitchers. Like I'm sure Reidelberger will be competing for the Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yes.
Might have some other kids jump up, but it's personal in those days.
100%. Or and if you have it where, okay, last year they got you.
Yeah.
And then this year they get you. And then you have where the matches where people start running their mouths a little bit.
Well,
you have that kind of attitude.
You got everyone last year, 10-0.
And they're going to be coming out this year.
There's a lot of people that are like, I remember that.
Yeah, exactly right. And the year before we were 8-2.
Yeah. It's not like it's been several years and people have been waiting, and I'm sure you guys will be ready and compete, and it'll be fun to watch this. You put your mark on this program in your own way. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So you guys, appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure you push like, share, subscribe, all those things. So that'd be great. Send it out to family, friends, anyone that might want to watch it. Or even if they don't want to watch it, send it anyway. You know, what are they going to do? Delete it? Who cares? It's just us talking about Zumwalt South baseball, which you shouldn't delete because it's greatness. So anyway, appreciate you watching. Have a great day.